Let's talk about the future of this smartphone. What's it going to look like in 5 or 10 years? Well, there's a lot of hype and rumors about what Apple might have up its sleeve at the developer conference coming up or later this fall. A lot of the rumors swirl around the iPhone Fold, not really the topic of what I want to talk about today, but I'm pretty skeptical that that's exactly what Apple is working on right now, because that seems to be a product that's entirely motivated by the competition and not by what's in Apple's best interests. Anyway, that topic's for another video, but I want to talk about the real shift that's happening under the hood: AI. Now, you might remember 2 years ago at WWDC 2024, Apple made a big splash about Apple Intelligence. And then it got delayed and excuses were made, and really, it hasn't moved far, at least publicly. That launch is pretty much universally recognized as a train wreck at this point, with unfortunately credible stories that the presenters were showing ideas for technology that the developers weren't even working on. So yeah, it's fair to say they've screwed that one up. But at the same time, it would be stupid not to assume that Apple hasn't been working with their best and brightest on this question of AI and figuring out exactly how they want to implement it within the Apple ecosystem. The thrust of the rumors seem to be that Apple is going to be moving towards a more agentic and a more integrated experience. I'm going to talk about what I mean by that. First, we all know that Siri is seriously behind the times. Once hailed as a breakthrough voice assistant, by modern standards, it's a very, very basic implementation that lets you do the basic things. But it wasn't built with a modern paradigm in mind to be able to respond to multifaceted questions and to go deep looking for research and analysis, like modern chatbots are. So it looks like Apple may be moving Siri more in the direction of an always-on companion that can function across apps with the help of Apple Intelligence or AI or whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of chatter that they're partnering up with Google, who makes one of the most successful chatbots, Gemini. But it's quite possible they might partner up with other players in the same space, giving the user more choice. All in all, this would result in Siri becoming many, many times smarter without Apple having to invest the money themselves. In fact, it's even possible Apple could be taking a cut of the subscription fees to those chatbots. As a composer, my workflow is fragmented. I might be composing in a DAW, then transferring it to notation software, then checking my email for the latest communications from the clients, and then sending it to file delivery services. In an agentic future, maybe I won't have to switch anymore. I could just say, "Hey Siri, send the latest version of this cue to my violinist so they can start rehearsing," and then put a rehearsal on the shared calendar for Tuesday. The phone handles the plumbing, I just provide the goal. Now, the fly in the soup here is the issue of privacy, and it's a huge issue. Privacy has always been very, very important to Apple, and it's one of the reasons I've stayed in the Apple ecosystem, because privacy is kind of the Achilles heel of the technology we use today. If users can't have the utmost confidence that their personal information is kept private, then they're not going to give the personal information. So the most likely implementation is that Apple would run a very small model locally on the device, thereby ensuring the maximum amount of privacy and making sure that your data is not transmitted to any outside servers. Then when a call comes in that needs something deeper like analysis or research, they can call out to their data center, which has Gemini or the other chatbots running on it. This seems like a reasonable balance that would allow Apple to maintain the privacy needs of their users while harnessing the near infinitesimal power of the modern LLMs. And Apple seems to be doing some really intriguing things under the surface to allow this to happen, like allowing developers to build hooks deeper into the Apple ecosystem so that developers could conceivably create a more agentic experience that works across apps. See, right now, generally speaking, we live in a one app at a time world. Maybe you've got the Mail app open and you're reading your mail, and then you switch over to Netflix and you watch some streaming video. With very minor exceptions that are mostly for media and maps and phone calls and things like that, your device focuses on doing one thing at a time. Imagine you're watching a show on Netflix and you spy this really cool jacket that a character is wearing. Instead of pausing, taking a screenshot, and then doing a manual image search, what if you could just ask Siri to find it? And it could understand what's on the screen, perform the research, and give you a buy now button, all without you leaving the video. This is what I mean by a more agentic approach. It's a more holistic system where your device knows enough things about you that it can connect the dots in between the various apps and experiences you have. Imagine a future phone operating system that understood you, that understood the works you do, understood your preferences, understood your tendencies, and was able to assist with all of that at once, instead of the walled garden we currently live in where we launch one app to do one task. Imagine, too, that the operating system is safely connected to the near infinite resources of the internet at large and is able to serve you by connecting what you're working on with the knowledge and analysis that's available out there. Now, I'll be the first to admit this has all kinds of creepy implications and there are severe privacy concerns. But Concerns like this have never been in the way of technology moving forward. I'm actually confident there will be solutions to them. It is definitely something that will evolve and that we'll figure out over time. I think this unified agentic approach is exactly where computers and phones are headed. But I'd be curious to hear from you. Is a phone that sees everything a dream assistant for you, or is it a privacy nightmare? Drop a comment below, like the video. I'll see you on the next one.